phenomena of chemtrails. And, you know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time. And so, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Okay? And you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting. So he started riffing about the chemtrails. And he started to say things that hit home so hard. And I would recommend that everybody try to get what he said online or wherever.
Chemtrails. They mix that stuff together. I looked into one of the planes once. I was privileged and he said they all tanks, all drums up there, and the tubes coming out, and they mixing the stuff and they putting it in, and then they put it out, and then they have another system where they can aim it anywhere they want to name it. So at nighttime while we sleep, it's a malt liquor. When you look and see if you can buy malt liquor. Why? You can't buy it because it has a thing in it called manganese. And once you get enough manganese, you'll kill moths. And so when you look at everybody talking about shootings in Chicago, 30 people dead, and and it never dawned on us. Who was in them camps, man? There was Germans that would sneak and tell them what they was planning on doing, and they was planning on doing it. They just couldn't believe it, and they would turn the Germans in. The Germans would be killed. And so we look at the same mentality here. Really believe that this crime rate we looking at is black. We really believe that all of this violence
now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people. Critics say this was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. News Nation's Natasha Zuvez investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime and it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick. And it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And they had masks and goggles.
Sulfide from planes.
Planes, rooftops. Planes and rooftops, boss. Planes and rooftops, boss.
Cadmium is another heavy metal dangerous like lead. Cadmium is another heavy metal dangerous like lead.
They knew way back then that cadmium was dangerous, man. This is 15 years ago. This only got 232 views. 34, that's 432 backwards, man. I guess it was just for us, huh?
Cadmium is another heavy metal dangerous like lead, but while mandatory standards, maximum limits are in place regarding lead, just this week we learned that when it comes to cadmium, the government is going to try to let the industry police itself.
They already decided to let them do whatever the hell they wanted to do. 15 years ago. They was already spraying it, and people were concerned it was more dangerous than lead poisoning. And they said, we're going to let them police themselves.
McDonald's recalled 12 million Shrek glasses in June. The designs contained cadmium. This jewelry was also recently recalled because it too...
McDonald's put the cadmium on the toys. What kind of meat are they serving?
contained cadmium. Same goes for this jewelry and this stuff. Cadmium is a cheap, unregulated alternative to lead.
Children's developing bodies are vulnerable to damage from lead and cadmium exposure over the...
They was putting cadmium... Come on, man. Hold on, let me get that back. Are they saying cadmium was literally on these cups, man?
Release itself. McDonald's recalled 12 million Shrek glasses in June. The designs contained cadmium.
You think they contained the Dragon Slayer cadmium on accident at McDonald's? Or were they giving poisoning to the children, man? What was Prince talking about? What are they spraying? Cadmium poisoning, cuz. Due to its low permissible exposure in humans. Man, low permissible exposure means you can't be exposed to too much of it, man. It's not permissible in humans. So when they say they're finding trace elements getting sprayed in these trails across your sky, and they try to act like they're just contrails, you know, just fumes from the planes, boss, and they're doing crisscross applesauce, just know that it just takes a little trace exposure to this stuff. They were spraying it on the knockers in St. Louis. They're going against the Nuremberg Code. We're supposed to know when we're being experimented on. We're supposed to give you consent to experiment on us. But no, you just spraying it in the sky. You just putting it in the Happy Meal toys, man. Overexposure may occur. Oh, really? We're only trace quantities. Just the trace quantity was all they need to give you exposure. And what does that do? What does that do? This exposure to cadmium fumes may cause flu-like symptoms. Come on, boss. Ain't you been feeling this? You been feeling muscle aching? Oh, it's just my muscles? Nah, it's the cadmium blues. The cadmium blues causing the flus. Now they call it the common cold. I'm saying it's the Dragon Slayer. It's the Dragon Slayer Cadmus. Cadmus is the Dragon Slayer. Cadmium, my nugget, is Cadmus. Cadmium is Cadmus. The Dragon Slayer Cadmus embodies the fixing properties of sulfur. So Cadmus had to learn how to reduce the sulfur. Both the moisture and the sulfur must be removed, right? He had to reduce the sulfide to stop the process represented by the dragon. Body bag, because they want to slay the alchemical dragon. To slay the dragon, my noggin, is to slay the mysterious quicksilver of unknown origin. What they call the living spirit can be extracted. It is the vessel in which the spirit is contained. So if they destroy the vessel that contains your spirit, they've destroyed the guardian that guards your spirit. Not a guardian angel, a guardian dragon that you have natural by law, that they can extract your spirit once your dragon is slayed. To slay the dragon, you need the Cadmus. The Cadmus represents the consciential. The consciential represents the coming together of opposites. This is deep. Bloods and Crips, GD, BD, white, black. Coming together of opposites to get you fighting each other. Is a snake biting its own tail or a dragon eating its own tail? To slay the dragon is to put you against each other or to introduce you to your opposites, just like the Cadmus in the sky. By reducing the moisture, by removing the moisture, this is the removal of the mercurial water. The primordial water and the power. They got to get that water to destroy the dragon. They got to destroy the power, man. The Cadmus is the dragon slayer. And cadmium comes directly from Cadmus. Yeah. Greek mythology, Cadmus was the legendary Phoenician founder of the Boeotian Thebes. He was alongside Perseus, Bellerophon, greatest hero and slayer of the monsters. The monsters are the dragons. Now they will just call you the beast. Right? But they gotta reduce the property of sulfur. They gotta remove, the sulfur must be removed. So what happened, man? Cadmus did what? What did he do? Cadmus removed the sulfur. He was persistent in studying these results and eventually isolated cadmium metal by roasting and reducing the sulfur, my naga. He reduced the sulfur to slay the dragon because the sulfur must be removed. I'm talking Cadmus, who is the dragon slayer. Yeah. Now we are the beast. He's the hero, slaying the monsters. The monsters are you, because they're spraying the Cadmus, right? They're spraying the Cadmus.
Between you and your destiny. For Cadmus, there was no choice but to fight. With every strike, Cadmus risked everything. But he wasn't just slaying a monster, he was shaping a legend. But his story doesn't end here. From the dragon's teeth, he sowed the seeds of warriors, a race of men born.
He sowed soulless incubator baby, demon babies. Look at these demon babies. They came from the Cadmus. You look into it, man, because the truth is stranger than fiction.
U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects. They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
Did we ask for them to spray us? I think that's against the Nuremberg Code. And the Nuremberg Code, it has to do with medical ethics. Medical professionals were put on trial after the war for their participation in war crimes, man. That's what they're doing against all Nagas, against humanity. During the Holocaust, we going through the American Holocaust to this day. The trial sparks questions about medical ethics and the aftermath of brutal experiments is what we're talking about. Cadmium on prisoners. Yeah, because we still prisoners of war in the camp system. We still in the camp system. We still on the plantation. All agree that certain basic principles must be observed in order to satisfy moral, ethical, and legal concepts. Number one, my nugget, the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. What did my man just say? We didn't ask to be sprayed. This means that the persons involved should have legal capacity to give consent. Do you give consent to be sprayed by this white stuff in the sky every day? What is Prince talking about? What is Dick Gregory talking about? Rest in power to the cons, man. Should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force or fraud. Did you give consent? You know what I'm saying? With all those needles they was putting in us, man. Yeah, they got our consent for that, right? But they said it was mandatory to get these needles inside of us. That's another experimentation. But it's fraud, man, because they lied, man. They made it mandatory, right? You can't go to the movie theater. You can't do this. You can't do this. You got quarantines. 4 Nagas can't hang out together. Yeah, man. Intervention of any element of force, fraud, or deceit. Duress, stressing us out, overreaching, or any ulterior form of constraint or coercion, man, and should have sufficient knowledge and comprehension of the elements of the subject matter. Do you have sufficient comprehension of the elements of what they spraying in the sky, or putting in these needles and saying it's mandatory? Remember, the flu-like symptoms is the same as the tenderoni symptoms. Where we getting it from? The radiation, the towers all over the place, all these towers, these G5 towers, or are we getting it from the Cadmus? That is, in alchemy, the official dragon slayer, the coming together of opposites, the subject matter involved as to be able to make an understanding and enlightened decision. Managa said, he did not give consent. We did not give them consent. We did not make a choice to be sprayed. We were given fraud, deceit, and force, man. The coming together of opposites, the conscientio, is the dragon slayer, Cadmus. And cadmium is Cadmus. And Cadmus has everything to do with the reducing of the sulfide. Because when the sulfur is reduced, it stops the process represented by the dragon. What is that? That is the living spirit, or the vessel that contains the living spirit of the alchemical dragon. So when they slay the dragon, Managi, they slay the guardian, and now they can extract your spirit. Yeah, because they gotta attack the dragon, because the dragon is not the serpent. Because in alchemy, there's an alchemical dragon, an alchemical serpent. And the serpent is just impersonal nature, which means unnatural and unconscious. That's not us, man. This serpent brings everything to life, but also kills everything, and that's not us. And this serpent is frequently mentioned as part of the symbolism of the conscientio, which is the dragon slayer, representing the bringing together of opposites. The same bringing together of opposites that slays the alchemical dragon. With the Cadmus, right? And now we're talking cadmium poisoning, and all you need is a little trace element, because it is low permissible exposure in humans. Overexposure, where only even a trace of quantities of cadmium are found as overexposure, man. And here they are, blasting it on a noggin, And now we got flu-like symptoms every damn day. Experiencing all this aching every single day. And that's what they just want to call the cadmium blues. This is the dragon slayer. This is what Prince is talking about. This is what the Khan Dick Gregory is talking about. Rest in power to the Khan. And now we find out that they've been testing it on Nagas without consent in the 1950s. The same cadmium sulfide, right? Because they learn how to reduce the sulfur to stop the process, man, to slay the dragon. They reduce the sulfur. The sulfur is the fire. So when they reduce the fire, they reduce the dragon. When they reduce the fire, they reduce the dragon. And this is what they were experimenting.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.